Okay, hello YouTube. I thought I would do a video on putting a set of teardrop cables on an old vintage bow. There's not a single video that I can find out there that shows you how to do it. I don't know if I did it the right way or not, but I did it. So here's what I done. I'd like to video the whole thing, but it was a process. I've made cables before. I've made up steel cables where it stopped at the wheel and then the string come around, and done pretty good with those. And if you take your time and do your measurements, you'll be good. But I found a way to do it what I think is easier. And this is my first teardrop. Like I said, I've done the string and then the cable stopping with a ball right here. But this is an old Martin. And so here's what I done. I got my cables from Pat Norris Archery. You can get them from his website and on eBay. But I have no affiliation with the guy. But I ordered a set of cables to replace this old vintage bow. The cables on it had some little nicks in it. So but here's what I done. First thing I done was I made a board. I don't know if this is right or not, but this is the way I done it. I made a board, and I put 3 staples in it, like this. Okay, one for the cable I removed, and 2 for the new cables. All right, I put the bow in a bow press, took the string off of it, brought it out here and set it on this table. If you can work on a bow press, you're probably going to be easier, but the table works pretty good when you're using this tool. So what I done then was, I didn't want, I've cut them before. You'll need a set of cable cutters, like that right there. I use them in my trapping supplies to cut snares with. And I've cut them before, right here. And then you have to cut them again in the main cable to get it back through the wheel. So you got to cut it twice. Then you got to kind of measure it and see how you're doing. And you know, if you've got bow specs, that's good. The specs, I've got some downloaded, but this was an XRG with recurve limbs, and I couldn't find any except with wooden limbs. So I don't know. I've gone by the specs before, but I tried this method, and it worked real well so far. So you'd have to cut it. Back to that, you'd have to cut these. Cut it here to pull it through the wheel. One to get out of this, and one to get it back through the wheel. Taping it together and trying to get your measurements. Well, this is what I done. I took a Dremel on the old one. On the first one I took, with it on the bow, because you're getting rid of it anyway. And it's I've got the string off of it, and it's laying on this table. I took a Dremel. You could probably use a cutting wheel, but I used a grinder. And I ground the side of it out, like that. It got hot, and it actually melted the vinyl cable. Let me see if I can get it. She actually melted it, which was, let me see. Well, anyway, it's over here somewhere. Let me see. Let me get back here. It actually melted this vinyl coating because it got so hot. Let me set the phone down here. It melted it where that swedge was. Okay. So, and this is where it melted it on the other end, which is not a big deal. Anyway, I got it off. Okay, there it is. Got it off. Now I have a full length cable, not cut or anything. Lay some out. So what I done was, I stuck his cable down in this board like this. Okay, right like that. It goes down here like so. All right, stretched it out real tight. Well, I got my 2 new cables, slid them in, one in this hole and one in this one. Slid them down, okay? Come all the way down, like that. Now you can do your measurements for your kink length from your wheel to the edge of your teardrop. Write that down, because you know that's really the way you do it. But I used it and this. So I come down here to right here. I took my new cable that would be hanging here, and I painted a line on it. And I painted a line on the other one. Okay? Then I come down here and I laid this board out on the table and stretched that new cable out. Right like so. I stretched it with the other one, and I took in cable cutters. And I cut it. All 3 of these cables, the old one and the 2 new ones, are exactly the same length. And I marked that. And I measured it from the wheel to the edge of the teardrop was 8 3/4. Okay? So then what I done was I came up here where your little Allen screw is. It's going to be on the wheel. Right there. Little Allen screw right there on the wheel. You got to take that out to get the cable out. Where it come out, I found where it came out. And it's right there. It's hard to see. You see right there. I got it marked. Right there it is. It's a indentation. Now there's one going to be up here where it wraps around the wheel, but you got to make sure that you mark the right one. But right there it is. I marked it. It's an indentation where that Allen screw goes in there. I marked it. Okay. Now I got to mark here, and I got to mark down here where my swedge goes. I've took measurements, wrote them down. Then I took the cable. I ran it through my wheel. You got to be careful now because you're working kind of backwards. You want to make sure that your string's going to be on the outside, or you'll end up taking your axle out and kind of switching this yoke around. Run the cable through the wheel, okay? And it came up, came down, all right? Before you do anything, you always want to make sure that you put your shrink wrap on. That's going to cover up your swedge right here, okay? Then what I done was I went ahead and I slid my little swedge right up on it, all right? And I slid it up on it to the edge of where I've got it marked on the wheel side, not or that side. You'll have to do it. I'm doing it on this side, the inner side of the cable, because when you take this thing back around like so, you're going to bend it like that, and you're going to push it up in that opposite side of that swedge. You're going to have that mark right there, okay? When you push that thing up in that, you start it through there, what I done was I took a knock like that right there, and I put it on the back side, on the front side of this swedge right here, or right here. Well, yeah, right here actually, on the inside. I knocked it on this steel cable. I knocked it right there. Not too tight, just good crimp, hold it. Then I come up here and I ran it around my yoke and back in this side, okay? Then I came over here and I put another knock on this inside right here to hold this swedge in. But I did it after. I found out it better to do it after you put your cable in. Got to make sure that cable is all the way through. All the way through and even, just like it was before. And so once you get that knock on there, you got a knock here and you got a knock here, and that's holding that swedge from moving. Okay? Plus you've got paint on it. If you're in doubt, take it out. Take the old cable that you've got where it melted it when you took out and hold it up to it and look at it. Make sure. Look at it again. If you're unsure, look at it again and again and again. Because once you crimp it, you only got one chance to fix it right. Okay, you got a knock holding it, right? At that point, you can crimp it. And I just use this tool here, and I use the second hole. Crimp it. Voila, you're done. Okay? You got to make sure that you put all this stuff on right. If not, you'll end up taking this axle out, which I did, and move it around to where this yoke's at right here. It's going to be off a little bit. That's the reason Martin makes a little bit of an adjustment right here. Okay? I made them 1/8 of an inch short one time, and I had to put that screw way down in there to get my cams timed just right. That's the timing. But the fact is, you got it crimped. And at this point, okay, the first one, you did all of that, done all that measurement, comparing it over here on this board to the other one, like so. Well, you got a brand new cable laying here on your table. So what you do then, you just come up here to your next one, since you've already got it done, you just cut it. Yank that thing out of there. Oh yeah, wait, one thing. You want to make sure you tighten that Allen screw up. When you put that cable in, that's a step I left out. You put that cable in, before you do any crimping, you look down in that hole and you'll see your little silver mark. Let's see if we got it right there. Right there. Your little silver mark. You'll see it down in that hole. And you'll know you'll have that cable pulled through there in the right place. You set your Allen screw right down in there and tighten that thing down. Okay, that's important. Sorry, I left that little spot out. You do that before you pull it. That's the first thing you do once you pull it through. All right, then but you're on to your second set. Cut your cables, put them through there. You do this very same thing. If you're in doubt, you measure again. Look at and do measurements with a tape measure. Do your measurements over here on your board, like that. Then, when you're sure of it, pull it in there. You pull it through and you put your knock on it. Hold that swedge in place. You run this through your yoke, whatever bow you got, put it round through there, put your knock on the other side, holding that swedge from going up and down. It's holding it. Like I said, if you're in doubt, pull the knocks off, look at it again, measure it, look at it, eyeball it, make sure everything's good to go. At that point, crimp it. You're done. The only thing I got left to do is to slide my my little shrink tubing up on it, heat it up a little bit, and I'm done. This was my first attempt on teardrops. And like I said, I've done steel cables where they had a ball stopped right there on the inside of the wheel, come around through like that. But I can do them by cutting them, grinding that first swedge off, cutting it off. That way I can see the full length of it, and there's no doubt. I just look right across the board and make sure all my cables are even when they're hanging down right there. I don't know if this is the right way that a pro shop would do it or not. I guess it's really irrelevant. If it works, it works. And it worked. So right now, I got a brand new set of cables on this old Martin bow. And I put me a brand new string on it. And I'm going to be good to go. I like gold bows. Anyway, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. You know, I'm sure the way I'm doing things, somebody will have something to say that's not that I did it wrong. But you know what? I did the best I could. It should be good and in time, because everything is exactly the way I took it off, because I measured it and compared it visually. Thanks for watching.